Boniface Bon Kalindo, aka Winiko, is not your typical entertainer who cracks jokes and fades into the background. He straddles the worlds of satire, activism, and political provocation, making him uniquely dangerous to entrenched powers. Born June 6, 1980, in Malawi, he studied, reportedly, at Mizuzu University and over time transformed from comedic comic relief into someone who speaks truth to power. Before today's explosive claim, he's already been in hot water several times, arrested, released, threatened with charges of insulting the presidency, accused of amplifying controversial audio recordings. But each confrontation seems only to sharpen his brand, the fearless gadfly who's not content with laughing at the system. He wants to expose it. Why does that matter? Because in Malawi's political terrain, where voters' trust is fragile and the youth are increasingly restless, someone like Bon can galvanize public sentiment. He becomes a megaphone for grievances that used to be whispered. He operates in the space between entertainment and protest, and that boundary is powerful. When Bon raises his voice, many listen because he has credibility among those who see the political game as rigged. Today, he's taken a direct aim at DPP, basically saying, "I'm exposing you." That's not just comedic jabbing, that's declaring war on reputation. And in these conditions, reputation is everything in politics. If DPP is seen as untrustworthy, the damage is real, especially ahead of big contests, elections, or even public support in regional strongholds. So fact one, Bon Kalindo is not a lightweight side act. He's a serious player now. He's someone who uses humor as a scalpel. And when he points that scalpel at DPP today, they cannot just ignore him. But a powerful accuser without a claim is just noise. So now let me take you into fact two, the gutsy accusation he's leveling against DPP and why it's turning heads. Now we get into the meat. The phrase Wasangalala, kuti, Uthenga, Wamveka encapsulates the accusation Bon is lobbying of DPP. In everyday Chichewa parlance, it suggests joy in the exposure that DPP is secretly happy their Uthenga, purchases, deals, hidden transactions are now being heard, revealed, scrutinized. It whispers, "You hated the cover, but now you're strangely gleeful someone pulled that cover off." What does this mean concretely? Bon is saying that DPP has engaged in clandestine dealings, possibly shady procurements, illicit deals, or backroom bargains, and that these have not just been suspected, but are emerging. He's challenging DPP to answer. If your deals were clean, why fear the microphone? He's daring them to appear before public scrutiny. He's painting DPP as guilty until proven innocent, but with pressure to defend. This is bold, because in political fights, the threshold is high. Accusing a party of hidden deals means bringing demands of proof, documents, witnesses, evidence. Bon is not just slinging mud, he's forcing DPP into defense. It's a high-stakes gambit. If DPP fails to respond credibly, the accusation amplifies. If they respond too harshly, Bon can cry suppression. Moreover, the language is cunning. Uthenga is an ambiguous word. It can mean purchases, deals, exchanges. It allows flexibility. Bon doesn't commit to one exact crime, but insinuates many possible corrupt deals. It's like throwing a grenade with many shrapnel pieces. Some will hit the mark. Politically, this puts DPP in a tough spot. They can't ignore it, but if they fight too publicly, they risk drawing more attention to what they wanted hidden. If they brush it aside, people think they're evasive. Bon's move is to create a trap. The accusation also speaks to public anxiety. Many ordinary citizens already suspect that backdoor deals drive how resources are distributed, how tenders are awarded, how contracts are granted. So when Bon frames his claim this way, he taps into existing distrust. That's strategic. This is fact two. Bon's claim is not whimsical. It's calibrated, charged, and designed to force DPP into a corner. It's not just you lied, it's you're celebrating your lies being exposed. So DPP hears the thunder, but they won't just sit quietly. That leads us into fact 3. How DPP is scrambling to respond, defend, and distract, and whether their tactics are convincing or crumbling.
When a heavy accusation lands, especially in a high visibility moment, the accused party usually launches a rapid response. With Bon's claim today, DPP finds itself in that high pressure zone. So what do? First, denial. Expect them to deny any wrongdoing, to assert that their books are clean, and to label Bon's accusations as baseless, sensationalist, or politically motivated. Denial is standard. It says, you can't prove it, so it's false. DPP will likely point to prior audits, official reports, internal investigations, or claims of transparency to push back. Second, discrediting the accuser. This is political warcraft. DPP may try to paint Bon as biased, opportunistic, or aligned with rival parties. They might claim he's being used by someone else, or that his claims are intended to destabilize governance. By undermining Bon's credibility, they shift attention away from the accusation itself. If you can knock the messenger down, sometimes people stop listening to the message. Third, damage control via narrative shift. DPP might pivot, either offer cooperation, we welcome an independent audit, or shift blame, maybe someone else leaked this, or even attack other parties to muddy the waters. They may issue statements, hold press briefings, summon legal bodies, demand investigations. Their goal will be to appear proactive, responsible, unshaken. But here's the rub. These responses have risks. Denial without evidence can sound hollow. Discrediting Bon may backfire if people see it as intimidation. And narrative shifts can look like evasion. In public opinion, the louder or more defensive your posture, the more it invites scrutiny. People wonder, what are you hiding? Historically, DPP has faced such accusations before on procurement, contracts, governance issues, and often responded with denials or pointing fingers. And audiences often respond with skepticism because credibility is fragile. The moment their defense sounds too mechanical, people lean toward believing the challenger. Another wrinkle, DPP's reaction must balance firmness and openness. If they appear too soft, critics say they're admitting guilt. If too harsh, they're oppressive. DPP is walking the political tightrope. They have to defend, but not overreact. Thus, fact 3. DPP's reaction is the vulnerable moment. Their denial, their attempts to discredit, their narrative control moves, these will define whether Bon's claim sinks or swims. And right now, all eyes are on how convincingly they respond or how badly they stumble. But this isn't just an elite drama. The real battleground is among the people, the public, the streets, the social media sphere. That's fact 4. How public reaction is escalating this into a full-blown narrative war. In our digital era, politics is theater and the audience is everywhere. When Bon Kalindo made his claim today, it didn't stay in halls or press rooms. It exploded online, across TikTok, Facebook, X, WhatsApp groups, radio talk shows, street corners. Public reaction is now the currency of power. First, instant amplification. People share excerpts, memes, quotes, videos, especially juicy lines like Uthenga Wamveka. Every retweet or repost pushes the claim farther. Even those who don't fully understand the accusation will see the outrage or passion behind it, making them curious or sympathetic. Second, crowd fact-checking. Online citizens dig. They ask, show me receipts. Which purchase? Where is the audit? They demand transparency, cite procurement records, compare past scandals. Activists or watchdog groups may weigh in. In some cases, ordinary users become de facto investigators. Third, narrative formation. As content spreads, people develop frames. Some will say Bon is a hero. Others will claim he's misled. Others will say both sides are dirty. The version that resonates most among public sentiment becomes dominant.
DPP might try to counter-meme or flood media with responses, but controlling narrative in a digital environment is highly challenging. Fourth, offline spillover. What starts as digital chatter finds ground in radio shows, community meetings, village conversations, market talk. If enough people believe the accusation, pressure rises for formal response, parliamentary questions, media interrogations, investigations. In political systems, legitimacy often depends on appearance as much as fact. If DPP is seen as ignoring or smothering public anger, their legitimacy weakens. So, fact 4, the people are the real battleground. Social media magnifies accusations, tests defenses, shapes narrative, and forces action. What Bon started becomes a movement if the masses give it momentum. All right, the players are set. Bon with his challenge, DPP on defense, public burning with chatter. But now comes fact 5, where this fight could head, the stakes, the risks, and what might unfold next in this high-stakes drama. At this moment, the chessboard is laid out. What happens next will determine not only reputations, but possibly the dynamics of Malawi's political climate going into future contests. Let's examine possible trajectories and their implications. Scenario A. DPP rises above and disarms the claim. If DPP mounts a convincing defense, producing documents, audits, credible statements, and thus so quickly, they might neutralize Bon's momentum. If some claims are found baseless, DPP regains control. But for that to work, they must match Bon's speed, transparency, and public appeal. If they succeed, the episode may fade as a storm that passed. Scenario B. Partially concede, partially litigate. DPP may admit minor improprieties, if found, but reject major ones. They may propose an independent commission, allow audits, but also threaten legal action against false claims. This hybrid route attempts to calm public pressure while protecting core interests. Scenario C. Escalation and retaliation. If DPP aggressively hits back, suing Bon, using state apparatus, media smears, the fight intensifies. Bon may respond with further revelations, producing whistleblowers or evidence. At worst, this devolves into a cycle of accusation and counter, and public fatigue or confusion becomes real. Also risks backlash. If the public sees suppression, sympathy may swing toward Bon. Scenario D. Institutional intervention. If pressure mounts, anti-corruption bodies, parliament, courts, or even international observers might step in. They could demand audits, set up probes, subpoena DPP leadership or procurement records. If institutions act credibly, they force DPP's hand. This path might expose more than one scandal depending on how deep the claims go. Now, the stakes. For Bon, a major reputation boost if he's proven right. He could become a kingmaker, a voice for accountability. But if proven wrong or weak, he risks being framed as false accuser, possibly facing defamation suits or credibility loss. For DPP, loss of public trust, especially among young, socially connected Malawians. Electoral costs, internal party fractures, loss of moral high ground. Conversely, a successful defense could restore confidence, but only if the audience believes it. For Malawi's political culture, this episode tests whether accusations from citizens or non-traditional voices can really force accountability. It may shift how future leaders behave, more careful, more transparent, or how whistleblowers strategize. For media, civil society, and institutions, this is a test of their strength. Will media investigate? Will courts act independently? Will watchdogs demand answers? Their engagement will determine whether this remains a spectacle or becomes genuine reform pressure. Another factor, timing. We are in October 2025. The momentum around this moment could feed into next year's electoral cycle, alliances, or campaigns. The memory of this standoff could haunt DPP in constituencies, especially where voters are already disillusioned. Also, the ripple effect. Other parties may jockey to use this moment. Opposition groups may amplify Bon's narrative or demand investigations. Rival parties may pressure for cooperative pledges. This controversy may catalyze further exposure of other corrupt practices, emboldening more whistleblowers. And finally, Each side watches optics. Bon must deliver proof, not just loud words. DPP must appear firm, but not tyrannical. The public will judge not by statements alone, but by what follows: action, accountability, or silence. The next few days will be pivotal. So, fact 5. This is not just a moment, it's a potential turning point. The moves from here define who holds political moral capital in Malawi for months to come.